Hey there, LinkedIn. It's Jonathan Goldstein here from Cyber Group, and I am delighted to be back here with you to talk about the stuff that fires me up, like all things agile, building high-performance teams, and helping you unlock the potential inside you and get stuff done. I'm sure many of you are finding that the skills you use to excel in the office just aren't quite translating to working from home. Specifically last week, I discussed a challenge I'm having in managing all the tasks across my multiple clients, multiple concurrent projects, and lots of meetings. Probably too many. So if you missed last week's video, I encourage you to take a look. Otherwise, let's dive in and see how this week went. In my last video, I mentioned that I was going to experiment with a new system of managing to-dos. I decided to focus on an aspect of Outlook that I've had a love-hate relationship with, and that is Outlook tasks. Using Outlook tasks to manage my productivity has been hit and miss. At times I found it somewhat helpful, and at other times it became just another place where I had a bellowing abyss of to-dos I was never going to attack. Typically I would use it for a while and then fall back on other habits like handwritten notes in my notebook or handwritten notes on Post-its. But this week I really did get intentional about using this feature. And what I did was I used an application that I'm in more frequently, which is Microsoft OneNote. So let's take a look at what I did. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at how this integration between Outlook and OneNote really works. And to show this, I want to start in OneNote. So in OneNote, you can see I have a variety of tabs going across the top. Those are subject areas, sometimes they're departments, sometimes they're clients. And across the vertical axis, I have all the meetings that I'm in. So you can see I've had quite a few meetings going. So I need to digest some of the notes that came out of it and figure out some action items. And I've already determined that there's a couple things I want to do. So one of those things is I want to schedule a deep dive with the project SMEs, and I want to schedule a review with of our standard PMO and DevOps structure with the client. So a couple things. I can highlight them, and as you can see, there's that menu that kind of came to the top. So you can see that I can flag it right now for a task, let's say next week, or I can also go up here and do the same thing. So I flagged them for a task. It's a next week item, and I'm done here. So now the thing is, let's flip over to Outlook and make sure that those tasks came over. And here we go. Schedule a review of the standard PMO DevOps structure and schedule a deep dive with the project SMEs. Next thing I can do is I can mark it to, I can categorize the tasks. So those are client. So I'm going to mark that to client stuff, and then maybe I can look at the actual task itself. Maybe it's not going to start on Monday. Maybe it's more going to start Tuesday, and I'll make sure it completes. I just want to point out that there is this folder function. So if I do have multiple clients going on, I can create a new folder or a new folder group and then move tasks throughout so that I'm further kind of subdividing, if that's helpful. So let's go to my active tasks, which is what you're seeing here. And let's say I want to move this PMO DevOps structure into my client to-dos. I just go ahead and flip it over. It leaves that list, and then I can manage it from here. So that's one way to further subdivide tasks, and was quite helpful. Okay, so here we are midweek. It's Thursday. And I have been using the system of taking notes in OneNote and seeing the to-dos from those meeting notes come over into Outlook. I have to say, it's working pretty well. It's pretty snazzy how that all works together. And I really like the fact that I can go into OneNote and update a task as well and have that update come over into Outlook tasks immediately. So that part is really super cool. Definitely is absolutely recommended to capture your to-dos in OneNote, so I'm really liking that. That being said, I have to say I ended up going back to this today. And the reason is sort of that mental memory, right? So there's something to be said about physically writing a note down. And I did find myself needing to do that. And it also allowed me to pay attention to what people were saying a little bit more. I don't know what that's all about. I think there is something psychological about that of, where your mind goes when you're typing versus where your mind goes when you're writing. I do think there's like a connection between your brain when you're writing. So that's definitely something to think about is I am remembering the notes that I take in here a lot more. But for the big things, especially the larger initiatives that I'm tracking, having those to-dos captured in Outlook is really super helpful. And then as you can see here, having this kind of consolidated list across all my clients, across all my personal stuff, really helping me out. So super big fan. I definitely recommend you try it. That's kind of where I am on Thursday. We'll see where I am or if my mind changes before I post this video. Okay, so before we get into some of my lessons learned and my opinions of my week, I did want to just throw out that, by the way, Microsoft did not endorse nor sponsor this video, so the opinions that I have of Microsoft OneNote and Outlook are solely my own. Alright, so let's wrap this up and talk about some lessons learned. So first off, I was really impressed with how smoothly integrated OneNote and Outlook really are. Props to Microsoft for that. I think it's a really smooth integration and it really benefited me this week. The second is I did find that capturing action items as I go and following this intentional process of reviewing my notes and finding the action items, making sure that they're captured in my task management system, did help me keep a little bit more on top of things, and I found a lot less things slipping through the cracks this week, which, as you know, was one of my biggest concerns as I set out on this adventure. As I mentioned about midweek, I did find that solely capturing my action items and to-dos digitally didn't work for me or the way my mind works, so I did need to come back to that kind of manual note-taking. That's just me. I'd love to hear from you as to if you have different practices. I think the cold, hard reality about all of this, though, is that it's all about intention. So a lot of things worked this week because I wanted them to, because I was really focused on improving this aspect of my day-to-day, and I was committed to it. And I think there's something to be said for that. So definitely check your own intentions as you embark upon changing any habits, and make sure you stick with it, because I think that's what really helped me out this week. So all in all, Outlook, OneNote, really spectacular. Highly recommend it. I also recommend looking into your own task management practices, how your mind works, and making sure that when you're looking at personal productivity, that you're incorporating technology into how you work best. I hope this all helps. If you have any questions or want to know how I set up OneNote and Outlook and what my detailed process is, happy to answer any questions that you have. Feel free to comment below or drop me a direct message on LinkedIn. Have a great, great week, everyone. I hope you have an awesome and very productive week. And until then, I'll see you next Monday.